welcome to a video lesson on dominant seventh chords on the first four strings. What I'm going to go over is the dominant 7 chord voicings and inversions for E dominant 7 on the first four strings, and I'm going to show the inversions, how I connect them when I'm practicing, and then some variations on those chords, including the 7 sus, which I'll show at the end. I'll go through those inversions as well. So here's the root position E7 voicing. 2nd fret 4th string, 4th fret 3rd string, 3rd fret 2nd string, and 4th fret 1st string. We have the root note on bottom, because this is root position, 5, flat 7, and then 3 on top. So I'm going to move from this voicing to the first inversion. And the way I'm going to think about this one is I'm going to slide my pinky up from the 3rd of the chord to the 5th of the chord, B, at the 7th fret 1st string, and then my finger shape goes like this. So I think about this as I have this shape, and then if I slide the whole shape up, all I do to make the next shape is switch my first finger with my second finger. Now I have a first inversion E7 chord where my interval arrangement is the 3rd, the flat 7, the 1st, and then the 5th on top. Moving up, I'm going to move the 5th of the chord up to the flat 7 and bar at the 9th fret with the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string to make the second inversion E7 chord. The 5th is on bottom, the root, 3rd, and then the flat 7 is on top. So next I'm going to move my flat 7 up to my root note. And for this voicing I bar my first finger at the 12th fret, and then I put my second finger on the 3rd string at the 13th fret. So the way that I like to connect these using the notes of the E Mixolydian scale, I start here with my root position voicing where I have the 3rd of the chord on top. Then I'm just going to move my pinky up to the 4th of the chord. This is an E suspended 7 chord, but I'm just using this as a leading note to get me here, where I can play the first inversion, continue up with the C sharp at the 9th fret of the 1st string to lead me into this voicing, and then I go up from the flat 7 to the root note, and then I play this, which is the dominant 7 with the F sharp on top, so it's a dominant 9th. But I'm just using that top note as a way to create melodic motion up and down. So from there, I would go back down on that top note to the 12th fret, and then I would go to my next voicing, second inversion, where my flat 7 is on top, and then I drop that to the 6 or the 13, that C sharp. Then that's gonna lead me into my first inversion voicing. Then I'm going to bar with my first finger on the 5th fret, 1st string, take off my 4th finger to play the 4th of the scale, and then I'm going to resolve to the root position voicing with the 3rd on top. So I'll play it once the way that I'm suggesting you could practice it to gain more fluency with these chord inversions. So starting here. I find that the melodic note helps me to know better which shape I'm going to just by which note of the scale I'm hearing. So maybe that will help you too. I'm going to go into the variations on each of these positions, and for this video I have 4 variations on each of the voicings, the inversions. And in this video I'm only covering chords with natural extensions, meaning I'm not using any alterations. So the scale that I'm using to derive these chord voicings would be the Mixolydian scale, which is just like a major scale but with a flat 7. So if I play that on one string, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. So I'm using all the voicings, we'll use all those natural notes rather than a voicing like a sharp 9 or a flat 9 or a sharp 5 or a flat 5. Those types of chords I'm going to cover in the next video in this series. So keep an eye out for that. I'll cover all the altered variations of the dominant chords. But in this video, like I said, I'm sticking to the natural ones that would occur if you're playing in a situation that calls for those natural sounds rather than the altered dominant sounds. So position, root position here. My arrangement, as I said before, is 1, 5, flat 7, 3 on top. So the first variation I'm going to do is just raising the 3 on top to the 4, and this is an E11, so it doesn't have a third, but it's a really nice sound to use for a suspended dominant chord. The next one is a slight shift back in position, so from here, what I'm going to do, these 2 notes are staying the same, but I'm changing the fingers that I'm playing them with. I'm going to go here, so I have my 3rd finger now on the root note, my pinky on the flat 7, versus before I had my 1st finger here and 2nd finger flat 7. So here I'm going to use my 2nd finger and my pinky. My 1st finger is going to be on the 3rd string, 1st fret. And my 3rd finger is going to be on the 1st string, 2nd fret. Now this is a E9 chord. 1, 3, flat 7, 9. So from there to there. And the last one that I'm going to show for this position is this one. So this is what I call an E7 sus, or a sus4, sus2. I generally hear it referred to as just a sus chord, a 7 sus. That's how the musicians that I work with communicate about that chord. So that's what I call it. Might not be completely correct, but E7 sus. So to review those 4, we have root position, we have E11, E9, and E7 sus, or E9 sus, I guess. And from here, I'm going to go up to first inversion. And my first variation on this one is to raise the root note up to the 2nd note of the scale, or the 9, for a nice E9. It's a very common chord in funk music and a lot of types of music. It's actually just a minor 7 flat 5 chord from the 3rd of E. So G sharp, minor 7 flat 5, over E is that nice E9. Then make it E13, move the B up to a C sharp on top, 9th fret. To first inversion. Now I'm going to go to the E7 or E9 sus chord that corresponds to this inversion. And this is a tricky chord to grab. but it's beautiful. So we have the 4th fret on the 4th string, the 7th fret on the 3rd string, then your 2nd finger is going to need to bar the 2nd and 1st strings at the 5th fret. So from 1st inversion to E9 to E13 to E7 sus. Then I'm going to go back to my 1st inversion and go up to my 2nd inversion here. 5, 1, 3, and then flat 7 on top. The first variation I'm going to do is going to change things up a bit. I'm going to move the flat 7 up to the root note, 12th fret of the 1st string. I'm going to keep this note here. I'm going to play the 9 or the 2 here at the 11th fret of the 3rd string. Then I'm going to play the flat 7 down here, the 12th fret of the 4th string. And this is a very cool voicing for E9, where we have a major 2nd interval between the 9 and the 3 happening in here, which gives the chord a very rich sound. So from here to here. Next variation is going to go back to this position here, but instead of playing it just like this with the bar, you're going to put your 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the 3rd string. This is another E9. It's actually the next inversion of the one we did down here. That G sharp minor 7 flat 5 chord. It is an E9. If you look at the intervals, we have the 5th, the 9, the 3, and the flat 7. So from here to here to here and then to here. The next inversion of the E7 or E9 sus. Then I'm going to move up to 3rd inversion. And in this position, the first variation is the E9. So this is also just the next inversion of this chord. Over E, that's a nice E9. So we have the flat 7, the 3, the 5, and the 9. Next variation is raise the 5th up to the 6th or the 13th, and the rest of the notes stay the same as the 3rd inversion voicing. So this is an E13. And the last one is the final inversion of the E7 or E9 suspended. So from here, E7, 3rd inversion to E9, to E13, to E7 sus. This just connects us back into the voicings we did before. I'm going to go back over the whole lot one more time, and then I'm going to go into the specifically inverting the E7 suspended chord or E9 suspended chord. From root position, we have E7, E11, E9, and E7 suspended. First inversion, E7, E9, E13, E7 suspended. Second inversion, E7, E9, different E9, and E7 suspended. Third inversion, inversion E7, E9, E13, and E7 suspended. To wrap up this lesson, I'm going to show you how I practice the inversions of the suspended chords. So starting here at the root note position, I have my 1, my 4, my flat 7, and my 2 or my 9. To invert this up, I need to move each of these chord tones up to the next chord tone, just like with any chord. So my root is going to go up to the 2, my 4 is going to go up to the flat 7, my flat 7 is going to go up to the root, and my 9 or my 2 is going to go up to the 4 or the 11. So my shape is this one. Move up from here. My 2 goes up to my 4. My flat 7 goes up to my root. My root goes up to my 2. My 4 goes up to the flat 7. To go from here, my flat 7 goes up to my root. My 2 or my 9 goes up to my 4 or my 11. My root note goes up to the 9 or the 2. My 4 goes up to the flat 7. From there, I have the root note position, just an octave up. So when I'm running through these, I do it like this. And repeat that 4 or 8 times. And you can always practice resolving these to A major 7. That sounds really nice. So if you go or from the top down.